Okay, thank you very much for that, Ben. I assume then everybody can hear me. If not, this could go pear-shaped. I've already enjoyed it. I've been in a networking room, the green room, and now I think I'm on the main stage. And I just wanted to say a few words to introduce this symposium, which is extremely important for all of us, actually, because for many reasons. But I just wanted to start by saying I do hope that you, your family, your friends, and your colleagues are safe and well in this extraordinarily challenging situation. And I don't underestimate that. And I need you to know that, because it is challenging times, and I know that it can affect people in many different ways. But what I am absolutely delighted about is the number of people who've decided to attend this symposium. I mean, I think I was astonished earlier in the week when it was looking at something like 80 people had decided to come along to the symposium about progression and applying for readership and professorships. For me, it's really important as an institution that we do encourage people to consider applying for a readership or a professorship based on the criteria that we have. And I've always recognized wherever I've been that has been a particular issue around women putting their names forward and applying for the position for many different reasons, I'm sure. And I only think that symposiums like this can help to encourage people to apply. And I hope as a result of today's sessions that you will consider that quite seriously. Because for me, what my observation is from my own personal experiences is that sometimes women do, for whatever reasons, decide not to put forward an application. And let me give you a very personal example of that. Quite early on in my career, and I worked very closely with one of my very good friends now. And at the time, she was looking, it wasn't actually for a readership or professorship, but she was looking to try and decide whether to apply for a particular role within the institution. And I was doing the same thing. And there weren't symposiums like this. But what I reached the conclusion was that I would apply, and Jane decided that she wouldn't apply. And I remember having a very close conversation with her just to explore the reasons for that. And the way she looked at the job criteria and the way I looked at the job criteria were completely different. And just to exaggerate it, to make a point, I looked at the job criteria and looked through them. And at the end of looking through all the criteria, thought that I could maybe do a couple of them and was absolutely top-notch in two of them and okay in some of them. Jane looked at them and didn't feel that she hit all of them in a stellar way in every respect. And as a result of that, she decided not to apply, and I decided to apply. And the reason I say that is Jane was and is far more talented than I am. But because she had nobody to really talk to understand what the criteria were or what the mechanism for promotion was, then actually she made the decision that she did and I made my decision. By the way, I didn't get the role, which is not unusual, but there you go. It's a story that possibly helps you understand why I think symposiums like this are very important indeed. I hope from this that you will, one, understand the different routes that are available for progression, the 4 routes that we have available in terms of readership and professorship. Secondly, that you hear from real experiences from people who have gone through the process and achieved readership or professorship as a result of what they have put together, and I hope that will help you as individuals consider whether you wish to apply in this round. Of course, you'll get to know a little bit more about the criteria and the timelines in relation to this particular round of applications. In addition, I'd want to highlight as well that this is a particular priority from our perspectives as a university to get more women applying for these particular roles of responsibility and of achievement if successful. It's important to us, therefore, as an institution. And I also know how important it is that we've got informal mentoring available for women who may wish to consider applying, and through that, deciding whether actually now is the right time or whether it'd be better to wait. And I know that has been received extremely positively by all those people who've gone through that mentoring process. And secondly, of course, there is the Women's Network Group, which is invaluable for sharing experiences, and that takes forward the women agenda from our perspective, and is also very important to me and us as an institution. So I hope as a result of today's symposium that it allows you, if nothing else, to consider whether you wish to apply, whether now is the right time for you to apply for the title of reader or indeed professor. And I really do hope that as a result of it, you will feel in a place as to whether to do that or indeed not. Now, I recognise, just to finish, is that we also wish to celebrate the people who have gone through the readership and professorship round on this occasion. And this year we had 5 women who achieved professorship status and 11 women who achieved readership status. And that is a vast improvement on previous years. And the reason for that is more women put their applications in for the titles. And I'm delighted about that and hope that that occurs this time. It doesn't guarantee that you'll get the title, but what it does do, it means that your application will be considered in a very thorough way, which I'm sure will come across from today's session. Now, I also know what amount of time goes into organising these sessions, and I do wish to thank everybody who's been involved in putting this together, not least Zoe, Tina, Keith, Phil, and also the EDI team. And I just do wish to thank them enormously for making sure that this session happens. And with that, I am now going to pass you to the capable hands of Zoe and Tina to talk through the rest of the day. So over to you, Zoe, over to you, Tina, and thank you very much for listening. And I hope you have a great day. Thank you.
So thanks everyone for joining us today. It's been quite an achievement getting this event together, and as Ian has said, it's been a real team effort and a first go at this. So thanks for bearing with us this morning. The first thing that we wanted to do in the spirit of the event was to celebrate the achievements of the readers and professors who were conferred in 2020, and obviously you'll be aware that process was delayed somewhat, but in setting the tone for the day, we wanted to make sure that those readers and professors were celebrated on the screen today. So on behalf of the organising team and the Vice Chancellor, I'd like to offer congratulations to Barbara Fruth, to Judith Madden, to Professor Kay Standing, to Professor Vida Malien, Professor Zara Quigg, to Cynthia Akwe, Emma Roberts, Gabriella Zana, Lisa Newson, Pooja Sani, Princey Johnson, Ruth Ogden, Samantha Brooks, Stephanie Evers, Stephanie Cooley, and Dr. Zuhoa Q. Apologies if I mispronounced that. So heartfelt congratulations to all of those women who've achieved those awards. And as Ian said, last year was particularly challenging circumstances. And if you'd like to offer your own personal congratulations to those individuals, I hope some of you have joined us today and you could offer your words of congratulations perhaps through the discussion board. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Professor Zoe Knowles. I'm based in the School of Sport and Exercise Science, and I'm a Professor of Engagement and Learning. I'm really proud to be chair of the Women's Professor Network and also the Women's Academic Network. And both of those networks are really important groups for all of us that are attending today. And I'd really encourage you to get involved. Certainly the academic network is a group where we can discuss topics, invite speakers. So always willing to hear from people who would like to hear from either staff internally within the university or external speakers. But ultimately, it's our network in terms of everybody that's here today, and the success of the online events last year have really made us think about how we offer such events and support moving forward. And that support is outside of the events that Phil will talk about in his session. So I just wanted to offer my welcome following the VC as chair of those groups. I hope you get a lot out of the day. As I say, it's the first time we've run an event like this. We'll be looking for feedback in due course, and I'll hand over to Tina Perkis as Exec Director of HR to introduce her session.
Thanks, Zoe, and welcome everyone. I'm really pleased to be here today. Such a fantastic event to really focus and think about ourselves and our own development for a day. I just wanted to mention about the EDI priorities whilst I was able to be on the call. And don't know if Ben, if you can move to the next slide, please. So one of the real priorities at LJMU is to increase the proportion of women in professors, readers and senior leadership roles, thereby reducing the gender pay gap. So you'll see on the slide, if you can see it, because it's very small on my screen, but it's very clear from the graph that we have got a real gap when it comes to women in senior positions. So that's why that's one of the priorities of the targeted plans within EDI at LJMU. So what we've done, when I arrived last year, we looked at the EDI agenda, and based on data, we've tried to prioritise what we're going to do. So this is absolutely key. So we've got a tangible plan to improve the proportion of women in senior positions. And what we're doing is really targeting the net increases that we want to make each year, specifically within professors and reader roles, but also in other senior roles around the organisation. And as we've seen this morning, there's some fantastic results of promotions this year already. So it's great to see that, and brilliant that people are progressing in their careers. So how are we going to increase the proportion of women? We're going to run events like these. This is such a great day. And I was talking to Glenda Norquay yesterday, And I know she was one of the founding members of the first chair of the Women's Professors Network years ago. And I know it's evolved now to Zoe leading the WAN network, but what a great success that we're doing these types of events now and really focusing on supporting our female colleagues. So we'll do events like these. We'll also do other upskilling events and development interventions, such as the writing retreats that Mel in my team runs and get some excellent feedback from. And we also need to really promote people as role models around the organisation to support each other. And as Ian said, encourage mentoring, encouraging coaching and supporting of people. So we really build people's confidence and allow them to want to get on in their careers. So in addition to that, I know what's important to Ian is people's development. So we are looking at reviewing our appraisal processes as well. And there'll be a real big push on everyone having development reviews this year. He's really keen that everyone has a conversation and talks about their career and looks at ways in which they can get on. So overall, it's all about supporting people. It's all about giving them confidence and also helping everyone to achieve their career goals. And of course, we've got the Athena Swan agenda, which Phil is the exec lead on, where we're aiming for silver now. So we do have a robust action plan in that area, but we're also looking at reviewing certain policies like maternity, supporting women when they return from maternity leave, and also reviewing our family-friendly policies to make sure they're fit for purpose. So that was all I wanted to say. So I'm really looking forward to this event today, and thank you very much for attending. I think it's going to be a great event. Hand over now to Keith.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the event. My role was to talk about the structure of the day and the genesis, but I'm going to try and make this as rapid as possible so I can hand on to Phil to talk about current criteria. The backdrop to this specific event was when I had a meeting with Moni very, very soon after I was appointed, and Moni was very keen to try and develop support structures for events like this, and we talked about a lot of feedback that was coming from the Women's Academic Network, the Women's Professors Group, etc., etc. And what we wanted was to develop something that was timely, something that was going to provide route-specific information, was grounded in the realities of people's lives and specific circumstances, that was going to provide some inspiration from people who've been through the process, some aspiration for people beginning and starting to progress, and was able to capture some generic information as well as some personal feedback from female academics, women academics across, from early career researcher levels all the way through to people mentoring at professor level. So that's why we've come up with the structure that we have today. And hopefully it will be useful, insightful, motivating, but also very specific and precise in terms of what you need. We certainly don't see this as being the end of the conversation or the support process, and we look forward to taking forward the 2020-2021 guidance and support processes in probably a broader and more robust way than we might have done in previous years. And Phil's going to talk about that in a few seconds. The only other thing I need to say today is obviously a couple of technical issues. I've noted on the chat that we've had a few issues of people getting in and out of sessions. Hopefully most people are with us now. The easiest thing to do is to always try and get back to the timeline, and then that'll allow you to enter into different sessions. There are other areas apart from the sessions, the discussion boards, networking rooms, all of those are there for hopefully people to have the chance to chat to each other. We are going to take questions from the chat board rather than sticking your metaphorical hand up, but we will also take a look at questions post hoc to make sure that we answer some of the questions beyond today's activity. And we'll be developing an FAQ system It's already there, and we'll be adding to it on the basis of what people are raising today. I hope the sessions this morning are going to be inspirational, as we hear from a number of members of staff who've been through the process. And I hope the sessions this afternoon are really insightful for you as individuals. We were really pleased by the numbers that we're going to see in the sessions this afternoon. That will make it group sessions as opposed to one-to-one, but again, we hope it's just the start of an interactive process. We will continue to seek feedback, questions and advice, either individually or through our networks as we move forward. That's all I want to say at this particular point in time. And I'm very happy to introduce and pass the floor over to Phil Vickerman, who's going to talk about the specific pathways and criteria at this point in time. So enjoy the day, look forward to some great feedback. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Keith, and welcome everybody. And just to echo Keith's comments, it's great to see so many colleagues with us today. And certainly for myself as chair of the Athena Swan Institutional Working Group, I'm really pleased to see today's event taking place, and the importance of it, first of all, to celebrate the success which we've done with Tina and Zoe first thing this morning, and also celebrate the work that's taking place. So I'd like to give my own personal congratulations to our successful professors and readers in this round, and look forward to many more conferments as we go forward. Saying that, today's not about resting on our laurels, but it's to acknowledge that more work is needed to be done at LJMU. I'm keen, and I know colleagues are keen to look at pragmatic steps that we can take to address underrepresentation of women in not only professorial and readership positions, but also in leadership roles more broadly, as Tina commented. But also we do need to make some structural changes, and that's some of the important work that not only the Athena Swan Working Group are working on across the institution, but also a lot of the activity that Tina and colleagues are doing around the EDI objectives. So Ben, if you could go to my next slide. So what I'm going to do is I've got just a few slides that I just want to make some introductory remarks, and then there'll be opportunities during the day to be able to ask any questions as we go forward. Next slide, please, Ben. So there's a number of points I'd like to just talk to in this session. The first is the current conferment criteria, and the current conferment criteria is on the documents for you to review. It is important to say that that document is the previous round 2020 of applications. We are in the process of refining the criteria, and we will be sharing that very soon with you. There are likely to be very minimal changes, and every year we do review how the process has gone, but we will be publishing that very, very soon to everybody. So I'm going to talk about some key points for the application, some personal reflections on how to maximize success, and then also share with you the timeline for 2021. Next slide, Ben, please. Thank you. So the timeline for 2021 conferments, this is subject to confirmation, but we finished the last round and conferments just before Christmas, and the intention was to place another call out before Christmas. but we decided that we felt it would benefit to have a short pause, both to give opportunities for events such as today's, but also give people time who were not successful to reflect, seek advice and mentoring on their applications. So the plan is that the invitation to apply will go out the 1st of March this year, with a deadline of the 4th of May for completion of the applications. University Conferment Panel will meet internally 26th of July, and then the plan is to make the formal conferments from the 11th of October 2021. It is important, and I think this is a really important recognition, that we will again backdate any salary increases for people that are successfully promoted to professorial status or readership status back to August 2021. And equally, we did the same with those colleagues who were successful in December 2020, that we took their salary increase back to the 1st of August 2020. Next slide, please, Ben. Thank you. So I just want to talk very, very briefly about the criteria under which you can apply. We will be continuing with 4 areas that you can apply under. It's important to reiterate that you can only apply under 1 of the 4 criteria. We do expect within the application, though, that you will reflect other aspects of the different strands, but it is important that you do talk to us, you talk to mentors and colleagues about what is the best strand for you to apply under, that you feel that fits your particular career to date, and also your career trajectory. So just very briefly, because we'll be having sessions later on, academic leadership. This is very much about you and your subject area. It's about going beyond leadership within LJMU of a subject, for example, as a program leader, which is really important work. But what we're looking for is how individuals have translated their subject nationally, internationally, how they've been recognized for the work, how they've made tangible enhancements to their subjects, maybe how they've even changed curriculum or professional practice standards and the like. Research and scholars, it'll be no surprise that that's where the majority of applications we continue to receive. What I would say, though, is that we do have a significant number of applications around the other criteria as well. But research and scholarship, you could argue, is the more traditional application route, which is looking at publications, grant success, how you're disseminating the particular subject area to colleagues outside of the institution. Next slide, please, Ben. Thank you. So the last 2, as the first one as teachers, is a very, very important area for us within LJMU. So this is about how you can evidence as a teacher you've enhanced the student experience, looking at evidencing delivery of innovative programs, learning technologies. This is more than just around your good work that all of you will be doing in your learning and teaching activity with your students on a day-by-day basis. We are looking for evidence of how you have taken that information, or how you have taken that practice and translated it by sharing it with your subject area externally. You may well have been awarded fellowships of the higher education, national teaching fellowships. You are likely to have published whether that's in professional practice or peer-reviewed journals, on the pedagogy of learning and teaching. The last one, as an engaged scholar, we are seeing more and more applications under this criteria, and it's really positive to see. We're looking for people that are seeking recognition for their work in public engagement, again evidencing how they are translating their subject or their practice into communities, how it's shaping thinking, how it's shaping organizations and institutions to move forward. Next slide, please, Ben. So just a couple of slides from me to finish at this point. Some key parts to the application, just to remind colleagues, where we will be remaining with a letter of no more than 4 sides of A4. I'll talk about that in a minute. Just to reiterate, we will be requiring people to apply under one criteria, but we do expect people to be able to evidence in their letter of application how their application contributes to all aspects of the university's strategic plan. And that's something that is particularly important, and sometimes we don't see that aspect as clearly in the 4-page narrative. So that's certainly something to think about. Obviously, we ask you for a CV. There's a CV template that we ask you to complete. It's also important, in addition to the CV, that your symplectic profile is current and up to date as well. Tina did mention at the outset that we continue to take into consideration the career circumstances of individuals, whether that's caring responsibilities, paternity leave, maternity leave, ill health, disability, and importantly, at this time, factors such as the impact of COVID-19. And we're very well aware of the impact that COVID-19 is particularly having on our female colleagues as well. And that is something that we would encourage people within the application, where you have the opportunity to tick if you believe that there are circumstances that have impacted the volume of your work, to be able to flag that. And that is something that the panel do take very, very seriously. So I would really encourage people to use that facility in order for the panel to be aware of it. Next slide, please, Ben. Thank you. So just to finish, some points from me really in terms of how to maximize success. It goes without saying, you should address the criteria. That often isn't something we tell all our students about, addressing the criteria, and we have to mark to the criteria, but it's really, really important that you do that. One of the important tips for me is that you play back in your 4-page letter the language of the criteria. So, if we are asking for evidence of peer recognition, or we're looking for evidence of presentation at national conferences, international conferences, etc., you actually play that language of the criteria back into your application. We are looking for impact, we're looking for evidence, we're looking for outputs of your activity. We also regularly use this word upward trajectory. So, what have you been successful in achieving, but equally, where do you plan to go with your career trajectory moving forward? And that's a really important point around impact and evidence and outputs, to be able to qualify what they are against the criteria. Applications, we judge the applications on your letter and your CV alone. at the initial stages of the faculty panel, they receive your letter of application and your CV. The faculty panel will also complete a faculty assessment form, which is a consistent form that all faculties have to complete. That faculty assessment form, along with your letter and your CV, go to the university panel. And at that point, if the university panel support your application to go out for external review, it's important to reiterate that what the external referees will see when they comment is your 4-page letter and your CV. They do not see the faculty panel assessment. They do not see anything in terms of comments from the university conferment panel. And again, I think that's an important point to reflect on, that you've got to be as secure as you can be that your application, when it will be reviewed by subject experts, is presented in such a way that you've articulated everything that you need. Finally, because time is pressing against us, applications can be tough to write, being very, very honest. Quite often when we are writing about ourselves as well, I think that can be quite hard. Do take advice from successful applicants. Take advice from colleagues who are going through the process as well. It is a hard thing to write, and it does take time to craft the 4-page letter. And often, in my experience, you need people that know you well in terms of your career to sort of give you a little bit of sort of, come on, you're underplaying that particular aspect, or why haven't you articulated a particular aspect of your work and the like. So those conversations are very, very important. Okay, so that's it from me at this point. Thank you very much for your time. I think we are going to hand back. Sorry, I'm not too sure where we're going back to, Keith, or
if my image is appearing, or whether you can just hear my voice. But obviously we're going to move straight on to the next session, but we need to all move out of this, go into the timeline and select the new session, where we'll hear the presentations from colleagues in the different categories of awards. Thank you to everybody who's spoken. Thank you for the continuing chat that we're looking at. But if you want to leave now, then you can go back to the timeline and log into the next session. Thank you.